Yo, it's Coach, and I'm a two-time college dropout who was able to flip an entry-level job into a 10-year career in just under 6 months, and I think I could do the same thing for you. Today, I want to talk a little bit about resumes and kind of like what my journey with resumes were. So, lock in, let's get it going.
And I've been chosen by my state, feel like, look, wait, I'm not the 2-3, I was picked first, I'm the, wait. And I've been traveling around my country for a minute. Every state I go, I find rings. I feel like I'm LeBron James. In Cleveland, this for you, it gotta be, homie. I'm from the land, so understand my people gotta be hungry.
Okay, so resumes. To me, I look at them as big kid applications. And the reason I look at them like that is because most of my working life before I made a resume was really just filling out applications, shaking hands. But I'm a child of the 90s, right? So when I was trying to get my first job, I'm going to places, I'm asking to speak to the manager, asking for an application. And this is back in the days where paper application, I found myself sounding so old just now. So old. I guess I was born in the 1900s. Okay. Side note, my son called me out for being born in the 1900s not too long ago. And that freaked me out. And he just thinks everything in the 1900s is just an artifact. I am in my 30s. Like, I can't wait. I can't wait to call him out. Oh, you're a pre-COVID kid, right? Like, anyway, I digress. I still had to go get paper applications from places. And my dad would say, hey, make sure you go to this store that you want to get on your bike and you need to go get a job. And mind you, my parents weren't forcing me to get a job. I wanted a job and they were coaching me on what that looked like and how I was able to do that. Right. And so he would tell me, get on your bike, go from store to store, ask to speak to the manager and see if tell them what your first and last name is and see if they'll give you an application. And so I took that to absolute heart. And I go, all right, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make sure that I get myself a job. So what I did is I got on my bike. I did all the things. Boom, 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 boom. Right. It wasn't until I was 23, right, that I had gotten a job that needed a resume. And so I applied and they're like, yeah, just make sure on the in the interview. I'm sorry. It's just really funny. I'm old. In the interview, what we're going to need is just go ahead, bring your resume and we'll conduct the interview. I'm like, okay. And so people like this or dislike this. I'm an Enneagram 1, right? People that are going to understand it are going to understand what I mean. But like, in that, I like things to be perfect. I want things to be ideal. I'm very idealistic. I have a lot of like, if then. I have a lot of if then thinking. And so with that being said, like, and that doesn't mean that everything I do is with that, but a lot of things that I start to think about have that bent to it. And so I'm like, all right, if I'm gonna have a resume, I've heard stories of resumes. And I've heard that in resumes, that's not true. In high school, we did have a resume writing class. And in the resume writing class, it said, listen, you got to make sure you get everything on your resume on one sheet of paper, because that's the only time the introduction that's the only, you only have their attention for a short amount of time. So make sure you do that. Most of us have seen Legally Blonde. I don't know if that takes any card away from me. Does it take a man card away from me? Or a black card away from me? I just remember, like, it was in my mind. I remember this very like distinct scene where she had her resume on pink paper and spritzed it with some perfume. So resumes were it's a big way of how you get a job. And so for me, I was like, all right, I got to figure out how to do this well. Like, how do I even write a resume? So I went on YouTube, got a little tutorial. I'm a YouTube graduate, right? I'm a two-time college dropout, but I'm a YouTube grad. Like, I got my master's in YouTube. I got my doctorate in YouTube, right? I didn't learn how to do so many things on YouTube. And that's why I'm here trying to teach y'all at the end of the day. So I went through so many videos. They were just giving me tips on this is how you write a resume. And it started with the format for me. And so I think I'm going to superimpose some stuff in here. But I think the format should be interesting, right? there you are able to just put outline style, who you are, jobs you've had, college education background. You could just do that, but what I like to do with my resume slash cover letter, which we'll talk about cover letter too. What I like to do with that is like just I'm an artist really, and so not necessarily a visual artist, but I still think of things artistically, and so I like to draw attention to certain places right on the sheet. And so that goes into everything, right? That goes into like how I make a flyer. Like it just goes into everything because you only got about 5 to 10 seconds to get somebody's attention, and hopefully keep it, right? And hopefully keep it. So just kind of break down like the format, and then we'll go over the content. Cool. One thing, you want to make sure your name is big. I think that's huge. To me, I think what I'm saying are some preferences, but mostly like best practices. Make sure your name is big. You want people to be able to like look at your name and know who you are. For me, professionally, I like my name to be my full first name, middle initial, full last name. There are some people that might just go by first letter, first initial, middle initial, last name. There might be some people that go with abbreviated name. For me, my name is Christopher. And so it's just how that looks on a piece of paper to me just looks clean, right? And so, and it takes up a lot of space, right? It just to me, it comes off as prestigious. As far as fonts go, I think you choose what makes the most sense for you. Play around with it. I'm not font police. Like I would just say nothing. I would say keep it professional. So like in the Times New Roman Arial world, but like don't do any scripts or things that look like handwriting. Like stay away from that. You want it to be, you want it to look like you're putting your best foot forward. It's like cooking a meal, right? Like if you're cooking a meal for a lot of people, you should cook it slightly differently, especially if you're of the pigmented community. Is one way you cook for your family. You might be a little heavier on the salt, but if you're inviting other people to the table, other people to eat your food, you want to lay off of the salt and provide it to the side, right? You want it to weigh on people's palates lightly, and then have ability to add to it, right? Unless you're just an amazing chef like myself, then you put the right amount of salt every time. I'm mostly joking about that, but there's some truth to it. And so it's the same thing, right? You don't want to weigh heavy on someone. Use a font that speaks to who you are. And there are hundreds that we'll just say dozens. There are dozens you probably should use. I like to put that big on the top. On my resume, I like to put a bit of an objective, right? Why is that important? Because not everybody's going to read your cover letter. And not every job is going to require a cover letter. And truly, sometimes you're just putting resumes out, right? And as you're putting resumes out, you might not have time to write up 10 thoughtful cover letters, right? You're probably just understanding I'm going for a specific role, right? If you're in the learning and development world, you're going for a specific role. If you have HR background, you're going for a specific role. And so you probably don't need a full page. Like I looked into your company and I just really moved me, and this is why, and this is who I am, and this is why I think I'll be perfect. For me, I put an objective on the top of my resume. Well, let's work our way down. Name. Maybe this is the best way to do it. Name, and then contact information on the other side. And so I put my email, I put the city I'm in, and the state. And then my phone number. Some order of that. We'll maybe have it over here, but you put your name on one side, big and bold, contact information on the other side on the top. Then going down, I go right into the objective. I am, you can say, I always start my like objective with something along the lines of, with my vast knowledge of boom, 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 and my ability to boom, 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 I've been able to boom, 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 boom in my career. Um, Based off of the research I've done on your company, maybe just insert company, I think I'd be a great fit for the role that you have available of boom, 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 boom. And something along those lines, right? Something along those lines. I do this. I'm good at this. This is the proof that I'm good at this. Since I'm good at this, I think I'd be good at this with you too. That kind of energy. So for me, that takes up the majority of that second section. The third and most important section is work history. And so I'm trying to do this mirrored. I put my dates on one side and then the corresponding job and what I did on the other side. So it'll be 2025 or 2024 to 2025. I did 2024 to 2025. Boom. I did. I was at this job doing with this title, and then doing these roles, right? And then underneath all of the dates that I've worked, and I tend to like keep it 7. I kind of look at it like a credit history, so I try to just keep it 7 years, or anything applicable, right? And so say you were in a certain career at one time, you switch that career for about 5 years, and then you're getting back into that career. Sometimes it's important to have that 5-year gap in there to show that you've been doing things. Like, this is where I'm leaving. I was doing this for 5 years, so I'm not like I'm not a scrub. I've been working. There's no work gap. But my expertise came 10 years before that. That's kind of what you're looking for. Like, if I'm looking at a resume, I'm looking for a couple things. Do you fit what we're looking for, right? Do you have what it takes to do this job? How do I know that? Okay. A degree kind of matters because that shows, well, we're not there yet. This video getting long. This might be a longer video, and that's okay. Sometimes you just need a longer video. So that's one thing. So after you've gone through all of the work history, then I'm just still using the same thing. So dates, we're going to put dates, and then this, your education background. One of the things I always say is, especially when you're putting a resume together, first of all, know your wage, right? Act your wage. When I say that, what I mean is know what you're going for and what's available to you. And try to understand like that if you even fit into the mold. So there's that. And I would also say, just be honest, right? Like I'm a 2-time college dropout. Both of my stints in college are there, and I'm very clear that I did not complete it. Right. But I do also have my high school stuff to prove like I did get a diploma. I do think it looks better to employers. For me, it would look better because I have this background, right? It is hot and up here. It's like one of the rare 70 degree days in Ohio in March, which I might be dating this video, but yeah, it's one of the rare ones. But just be honest, right? Showing that you did complete high school when you should have. If that is the case, then put that there. Showing that you did attend college is important. Put that there. At the end of the day, people, and I said this in another video, I don't know what order these videos are coming out, but people care way more about your experience than they care about your documentation. I'm just going to be honest with you. If I'm hiring somebody, I want to know that they know how to do the job way more than I want to know that they study to do the job, right? Now, if they study to do the job and they've done the job for a long time, that's something. So let's work our way back up of the quality of your resume, right? So like I said, be honest about what you've done and just put it in there. This, and I'll have some samples, but I went to this, this is the dates that I'm referring to. This is when I started, this is when I ended. Month and year to month and year. I went to this college for this degree from, and you already have the from to. If you completed, just say what the degree was. So associates, bachelor, MBA, master's, doctor, like whatever it is, put that in. I put it in parentheses and italicize it. That's just what I do. But then so for me, it says not complete for college on both sections. But in the high school part, I put diploma, right? And if you have a GED, don't get it twisted. Like a GED is not an end all be all, but just remember, the more competitive you're of a job that you're going for, the more that job is won in the margins. What does that mean? It means that if it's close, they're going to start like splitting hairs on who to choose, right? If it's close. So like for me, one of my last jobs, I ended up missing out on that job. And I think it was close. And I think I lost it on sheer experience, right? Because some of what I was doing was stepping into something that wasn't exactly what I've done before, right? So I had been a manager and I've had the title, and I had done this other job and I'd had that title, but I had never been a manager of that title, right? Like I've never done both. And so I think that's why I lost out on the job. And honestly, I ended up still getting hired, which is why interviews and resumes are important and good communication is important, because I ended up actually still getting a job at that place, just at a lower level, which was okay because I was willing to work my way back up. It's a long story. One, I'm sure I'll tell eventually. It's not secret or nothing. This is just not the time. But he ended up being my boss, the guy that beat me out for the job. He ended up being my boss, and truly learned a ton from him and still keep in contact with him to this day. Because networking matters. Another video. Check it out. But yeah, anyway, like, so be honest, like jobs are won and lost in the margins, especially when it's competitive. But I think honesty trumps all. Like if you can get an interview, if it's competitive enough, they'll bring you in for the interview. If you can get an interview, just have an answer for what's on there. Just let them know. For me, it was, I got kicked out because of financial aid reasons, didn't have the financial aid to continue school. I went back to school thinking like, okay, this is probably a better road and route for me. And then I moved from that college, and then we had a baby. And then it was like, okay, do you work or do you go back to school? Like, what makes the most sense? And so I just poured my blood, sweat, and tears into my career. And when I say pour my blood, sweat, and tears, I think I've had a pretty good work-life balance, but I put my energy into making the job, like making myself a better employee, right? And so just be honest about that stuff. Working our way back up. When we're talking about our work history, I'm a person, I have a lot of history in learning and development. I care a lot about writing and balance and all of this other stuff. Like I've been a rapper, a songwriter. I do all of that kind of thing. So like I understand like artistic structure. And so I just believe in threes for me. If I need more than 3, that's good. But I try not to get less than 3, depending on if I'm running out of space on my resume. Again, I do try to keep everything on one page. That's a me thing. And I think that's a good rule of thumb. If you can't express what you've done in one page, I think you're disrespecting the time of the recruiter. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't disrespect that. Don't give nobody. I have received an 8-page resume before. I thought that was the biggest slap in the face. Like, you don't think I got nothing else better to do than to read your job history, your full job history? I was appalled. I couldn't stand it. I'm like, I have 50 resumes. You think I'm gonna waste my time reading yours? Now I did for the purposes of teaching later, teaching someone else how to do a resume. I was like, listen, if you couldn't tell me this in one page, then it's not that impressive. It's just not that impressive. Like, if you got to explain what you did, it's not that impressive. And so one of the keys that I would say is always start every line with an action word, right? Complete it or hit deadlines, or and some of you can be creative if you want. I like to lean toward just professional. Some people might use the word crush. I would say no, like don't say crushed our numbers, like hit our numbers out of the park. I would say created content that furthered learning, managed a team of 6. Those are the types of words you want to put. Ran a sales floor of 300 people, worked cross, what do you call it? Worked cross vertical, created team atmosphere. Like, you want to start quick, clear. Like, if you just tell me the name of your role, like if you tell me you were a VP of marketing and you just said created marketing campaigns that increase revenue by 25%, boom. I already know you're a marketer. You created campaigns. I'm assuming they were marketing campaigns. And 3, you're telling me why that's important. Increase numbers, increase revenue, right? When you're explaining what you're doing, I think that's how you really set yourself apart, right? Because then I can read it and I can digest it, and I'm like, okay, I understand how this person's work has influenced this over here. And then working our way back up. I think I already talked about the objective and how you should do that. Tying it all together, a good resume is a resume that's not trying to get the job. I'm going to say that again. A good resume is a resume that's not trying to get the job. What do I mean by that? I want the resume to sell who you are. I don't want your resume to sell why you're a good fit. Let me read the resume, right? That's why that objective is important. You tell me in your own words why you think that you're good for this position, why this objective matters to me. If you do that good enough, I'll go, okay, I'm intrigued. Then I'm going to the next line. And if the next line says what you did, and if what you did was in the realm, like if you are signing up to be an HR specialist, right? And I see that you've done some recruiting, and I have enough. And I don't know. I just see that done some recruiting, did some some number entry or something like that. If I see that and I'm like, okay, I've worked in enough places to know what that looks like. I know how closely the recruitment person works with the HR professional. Like, I know what that looks like. And I'm going to know what kind of questions I have, right? So just show me what you do. And a lot of times what I'm looking at is time on the job. Are you job hopping? Do you have quick growth? For me, I highlight and that's another thing. I could speak about resumes forever. Maybe we'll make this a two-parter, but I can speak of resumes forever because I do think it is so much more important than I first understood when I was putting my resume together. Right. But yeah, like, are you, you need to be highlighting the most impressive parts of your resume, right? Highlight the most impressive parts. I'm going to be honest though. I'm going to care way more about what you do and what you did than what you studied, right? In general. But if what makes you impressive is not that you've been growing in your career, but you went to college and you keep going back to college and you got all these letters after your name and you've been working the same kind of job for a decade, that might be great. For me, growth is the impressive part of my resume. How fast I've grown, how I've had steady, consistent growth, right? Every 2 years, I'm getting a promotion. Every 2 years, I'm getting a promotion. I'm growing. I'm moving on. And you can see that my job hopping is to get to the next spot, to learn more, to get to the next plateau. And so just generally speaking, man, like, resumes are super important, right? No matter what it is you do, I'm here because I believe that people want to improve on what they do. I just believe that. I could be wrong, but I really believe that people want to improve. And we always talk about get rich quick schemes and all of this. This is not a get rich quick scheme. This is a get stable slow scheme. I'm not going to lie to you. This is the long game. Why is that important? Especially for Black men. If we can infiltrate the workplace and grow, right? This also creates generational wealth. Why? Because the idea of nepotism is a real thing. And we're not just talking about, getting your son a job. We're talking about true references. I've said it in one of the other videos, right? 90% of the jobs I've gotten, probably 80%, have been off of a reference from a person within the company because of a networking thing. And I've gotten so many people jobs based off of me and been able to say no to people just because of the work I've done with them in the past. And so I just think these things are important, right? But resumes, work on that resume, sharpen it, right? And if you think I'm off, if you think I'm crazy, if you think this is a waste of time, why would we do this when LinkedIn and Indeed exists? Comment. Let's have the conversation. Let's have a conversation. At some point, I'm gonna be willing to help people with their resumes, or at least looking at them, right? Like, I'm not a professional resume writer by any stretch of the imagination, but I review resumes. I review a lot of resumes, and I can tell you about some of the most impressive resumes I've gotten, and I can tell you about some of the worst. But I'm telling you, if I don't have to flip a page, but I'm intrigued and there's just not there, I wish there was more on the resume, you are much more likely to get the interview. We'll talk about nailing an interview on another video, but resumes. Like the video if this was helpful to you. Subscribe if you like the content, and then comment. Like, if I'm tripping, let me know. Right? If I'm on the right mark but I missed something, let me know. Let's have a conversation about it. But at the end of the day, it's Coach Boz. I'm here to help. I'm here to serve. God bless y'all.
And I've been chosen by my state, feel like, look, wait, I'm not the 2-3, I was picked first, I'm the, wait. And I've been traveling around my country for a minute, every state I go, I find rings, I feel like I'm LeBron James.